Hello there. I have this big hair in my face. Okay. It's gone. Okay. Good morning. Awesome. Already being notified pretty quickly. Fantastic. Just going to give it a few moments, okay? I can't see who's. Oh, hi. Awesome. Good morning. I never know if Facebook's going to let me see my comments on here. All right, I'm just gonna give it a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds, really. Who am I kidding? I always say minutes. I get impatient. All right. Okay. So today we are going to talk about different types of resistance and also learning how to just meet yourself where you are. Okay? So definitely, if you didn't go through last week's videos, please do so. And I also highly recommend watching the videos from this week as well to make sure you're all caught up so that you can be, in a clear understanding of why exactly I'm talking about resistance. Okay. So just to give a quick recap of this week alone, on Monday we spoke about giving yourself permission to live that meaningful, happy, fulfilled life now, not waiting for things to fall into place in order to start to feel happy and fulfilled. You have to start feeling that now, because when we feel like the more that we feel those elevated emotions, that's the language of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is then working to carry it out and make it our reality. This crazy hair in my face. And then yesterday we spoke about how we are all mirrors to one another. So if somebody meets you with resistance, with some of their stories of their beliefs, and like you're crazy for thinking that it's all about mindset and whatever it is, it's just a product of their own story of where they're at within themselves. Also, how no one's actually bothering us or annoying us or making us angry. We are annoyed, we are angry, we are bothered. So it really just kind of like flips the table and pulls the power back into your own hands of like any single time that you're triggered. It's just another invitation to go within and continue to learn more about yourself, continue to ask, what is this trying to show me? What is this trying to tell me? And also speaking about how mirrors are also a very positive thing as well. We tend to only kind of talk about we're all mirrors with negative experiences, but really also we're all mirrors in very positive ways. So when we see someone who's really beautiful, or we feel someone super smart or a great leader or whatever it is, we're actually seeing those characteristics within ourselves. So today we're going to be talking about some different types of resistance and how to just show up for ourselves, meeting ourselves where we're at. As well as then tomorrow and Friday, we're going to get into a couple different practices to help you work through the resistance. So tomorrow we're going to be doing EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique, which I'll explain more about that tomorrow. And then Friday, we're actually going to be doing some breath and a cord cutting meditation. So again, I'll explain more about that on Friday. So today is like the last day of like the logistics kind of thing, and then to end week 2 already, we'll be doing some actual activities together. And then the last 2 weeks is just pure magic of living in gratitude and embodiment and all that amazing stuff. So wonderful. Okay. So first, I just want to read a quote that I really enjoy from Steven Pressfield. Resistance is the equal and opposite reaction of nature to the new thing that you are called to bring forth out of nothing. There would be no resistance without the dream. So, in general, resistance, okay? If you have a dream, there's going to be resistance, plain and simple. Resistance comes in many forms. It comes from illness to family obligations. It's almost like the universe asking you, how bad do you want this? Do you really want this? Like, are you willing to work for this? Are you willing to fight for this? Right? Like, it kind of wants to know, like, okay, so you're asking for these dreams and these goals. And honestly, the bigger the dream, the bigger the goal, the bigger the resistance is going to be. Because I feel like, if this is something that Abraham Hicks talked about. She mentioned, do any of you listen to Abraham Hicks? So Abraham Hicks mentioned once, if we were able just to ask and then receive, ask and receive, ask and receive, that we'd actually want to be then in these events together, understanding how to release our manifesting abilities, right? So if we're always kind of like met with a resistance when we ask for these huge goals and huge dreams, or even if it's a small dream, small goal, it doesn't matter. There's still always going to be resistance, but we're always going to be met with it because, the universe is like, all right, so you're asking for it, right? It's easy to ask. It really is. But like, how bad do you want this? Are you sure you want this? Are you willing to work for it, to fight for it? And I know I speak a lot about how this is just like meant to help us to experience more ease and more joy and fulfillment in our life. And 100%, it definitely will. And this is why understanding resistance is going to make the process much more full of ease. Or is it easeful? Don't know. But when we understand it, we're able to be like, oh, okay, this is what that resistance is showing me. This is how to work through it. Okay. So, like I said, it can come in various forms. It can come from you getting sick. It can come from family obligations. It can just come from being like, well, shit, like this is what I wanted, but actually I just don't have enough time to invest into it. But that's just stories, all stories, and the story is the resistance. So this is huge, huge, huge. I see this all the time in what I do. It started off with, and I was a personal trainer. Like, I still am a personal trainer technically, but when that was like my main focus in my business, I would see this all the time. Somebody would come to my home, because I trained out of my home, and they would sign up for their sessions and they'd buy their package, and then all of a sudden something would happen. Like their car broke down and then they needed to put their money into their vehicle instead, or they got sick, or like their kids started an after school program and all of a sudden they couldn't figure out when they were able to train because they had to give their kids rides to school. It's all resistance meeting you. It happens, with my clients to this day of, these things I just explained. It also recently happened for me, and I found myself just like really questioning why. I mean, for many various reasons, but honestly, it can get as heavy as this. So I had been like in a quite this beautiful cycle of just feeling amazing joy and play and gratitude and pleasure and all of that, the forefront of my focus, my to-do list every single day. And like that momentum was really starting to pick up, and I was just feeling like this pure radiant bliss. And then my dog unexpectedly died, which that's extremely heavy, and it's awful. It's very awful. It just has been 2 weeks, and I remember when he first passed away, just being like, "Oh my God, like I'm never gonna be happy again." Like I was feeling so good, things were going so amazing, and then this happened. Like, why did this have to happen? And yeah, like of course that's a little bit more extreme case than like your car breaking down, or having to figure out a different schedule to get your kids to and from school or after school activities or whatever it may be. But it's still a part of like the resistance. And so like just meet yourself where you're at when it comes to this. Don't let that story take over. Okay, allow yourself the space and the grace to work through it. Like for me, I took off like a whole week and just allowed myself to just do nothing. I would if I wanted to work or create, I would. But mostly I just wanted to kind of like lay in my bed and just stare out my window and cried a lot, right? So, and when I felt ready to come back, I did, right? And even still to this day, I'm still obviously going through the whole grief process. Who knows, it probably will never end. I allow myself to go through all the motions as needed. So if your car breaks down, or you have to fix your schedule, switch your schedule around, whatever it may be, like, don't get so lost in the story of resistance that you allow it to completely halt you in all of your tracks and in all of your dreams and goals. If you need to take a couple days, take a couple days. Take a step back. Let it kind of like all settle, because we think that everything's going to go one way, and then when it doesn't, like there's a huge reaction within the body. It can be very chaotic, very frenzied, and we kind of go into that fight or flight freeze mode, and the breath is shallow and it's very, very intense. We don't need to make the drastic decisions then. We don't need to make the changes then. Give yourself some space, and then come back and look at it from a more calm and peaceful perspective. Okay. There's always a way around the resistance. There's always something you can do to work out the problem that's been presented to you. Okay. It just, when we're trying to fix said problem or shift around our schedule or whatever it may be, when we're doing it in the midst of the chaos, it's going to be met with even more frenzy, right? So the more that we just allow ourselves to calm down, let it settle, and then come back with from a space of love and peace, the more that we can see, okay, this is more than capable of working out. All right, so the next step, the next place to kind of meet yourself at with this resistance is watching your language. How often do you use language like, well, I can never get this done because I always procrastinate. I'm not creative. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough resources. I don't have enough support. Those are all stories, very limiting beliefs. This language is just resistance. Notice it. And then shift your language to meet your needs. When you notice yourself with that language of, I procrastinate all the time, can you instead meet yourself with, well, that's the old me. That's what old me used to say, right? Like, and this is the thing. I don't want you to lie to yourself. This is where I don't necessarily agree with positive affirmations, or at least not right off the rip. I think that you have to really get into an understanding of being in your body and experiencing these emotions in order for the affirmations to actually work. Because if not, you're lying to yourself, right? And this is why I don't like this whole idea of acting as if. I more instead focus on embodying it so you can begin to feel it. So there's no pretending, you're actually feeling it. So for an example, a lot of the clients that I work with one-on-one come from a past of disordered eating and toxic relationships and just not loving their body, not feeling good in their body. And so starting off with self-love is a very beautiful foundation to set. However, just like staring at yourself in the mirror and saying, I love you, when you don't love yourself, is going to be very difficult. You're not going to believe it, and it's just going to be something to cross off your to-do list. And in order for this language to really work, you have to feel it. So you can say things like, I tell them, I'm learning to love myself. I'm learning to appreciate myself. I'm learning to look at myself in the mirror and love what I see. Okay? Because that's not a lie. You are 100% learning how to do that. So in your language of, I procrastinate all the time, or I can't do this, I don't have enough resources, I don't have enough knowledge, I don't have enough education, whatever the story is, shifting from I always procrastinate to I never procrastinate, well, that's not going to work, because you're lying to yourself, and you know that you're lying to yourself. So shifting it into I'm learning how to not procrastinate. I'm learning to trust that I have all the support, all the resources, all the knowledge I could ever need. Okay? Just meet yourself where you're at. Pay attention to the language that you're constantly saying and begin to shift it. And as you shift it, the more you practice, I am learning, which you are learning. And then once you're learning, you're actually going to start to be like, I really am in love with myself. I really do feel supported. I really have not been procrastinating. And then that's when you can begin that language of, I no longer procrastinate. That's the old me, right? Like I have plenty of resources. I have so much knowledge. I am so supported. Okay. So it's always meeting yourself where you're at, because that limited belief language is resistance, but you don't want to meet it with more resistance by lying to yourself. Okay. Kayla said, yes, this is a big deal. It's why people think it doesn't work and or it feels fake. Exactly. 100%. Yeah. Okay. And then the last one is explore the deeper layer, because resistance is a teacher. It's coming up to always show you that there's something that's just like not quite right. There's not like there's kind of signals misfiring here. And so when this resistance is showing up for you, ask what it's trying to show you. Ask it. Sit with it in meditation. Pray about it. Just, speak it out loud and kind of like wait and see if like knowledge can kind of be like downloaded, journal it out, dance it out, whatever it may be, but ask what it's trying to show you. So something that I would always say is that I am not creative. And okay, first of all, huge resistance. What I do in my business, like it's kind of important to be creative, right? I was going back to being a personal trainer. I created workout plans. Present day, I still create workouts. I create like HIIT circuits, yoga flows, meditations, breathwork journeys, all of that, right? Especially if you're in my Breathe and Receive membership, I'm constantly creating. We're constantly creating content, emails, social media posts, YouTube videos, podcasts, all that stuff, right? And so when I was constantly telling myself I'm not creative, I was completely blocking all of my creativity. The reason I felt like I wasn't creative, so let me pause for a moment. So obviously it was really blocking everything that I needed to do, that I wanted to do. And so I sat down and really started asking myself, what does this mean? Why does this keep coming up for me? What is this trying to show me? And it was through a lot of journaling and meditating that it kind of dawned on me that the reason I kept saying I'm not creative is because I was only viewing creativity as somebody who is sitting at an art easel creating this beautiful masterpiece. And I'm not an artist. Like I cannot draw for the life of me. That's not a limiting belief, that's fact. And what it was trying to show me was that I actually am really creative. I'm just creative in my own way. So what was really fun, what that was trying to show me, is helping me to step into my creativity in the way that I create, in the way that feels the best to me, because how I'm going to do something is my own unique superpower. And it just wanted me to see that I am creative and to really just step into all of that power. Right? Does that make sense? So asking the resistance, using it as a teacher. What does this mean? What is this trying to show me? Going back to resistance coming up within your kid's schedule changing, and then all of a sudden you have all of this running around to do. What is that trying to show you? Perhaps it's wanting you to see that there actually are places within your schedule that is ready to be dropped, or it's time for you to reach out and ask for help. It's time for you to drop this resistance of not asking for help, right? When there's people around you who probably are dying to help you. If it's an illness, it's probably asking you to just slow down, be more present, release the stress and the struggle. So just asking, what does this mean? What is this trying to tell me? All right, so quick little recap here. And please feel free to drop any questions. So going back to the beginning, just really quickly, any sort of dream you have, any sort of goal you have, it will be met with resistance. Always, always, always. It's the universe asking you pretty much, how bad do you want this? It doesn't mean that going after your dreams or changing the way your mindset is always going to be hard and always going to be a struggle. Because if you take these next couple steps and realize that it's all a gift and you can use it for your highest good, you're dropping even more of like that struggle story. Number 2 is to watch your language. Watch when you're saying, I can't, I never have, I don't have, it's impossible. Watch what kind of boxes that you put yourself into with your language. Again, what you're constantly saying, your subconscious is going to make it your reality. So if you're always saying, I don't have enough time, you're never going to have enough time. So changing the way you speak to yourself and not necessarily lying to yourself because you're not going to feel it. You won't believe it. It's not going to work. So instead of saying, I have plenty of time, when really you still have no time, you say, I'm learning how to create more time. I'm learning how to ask for help. I'm learning how to delegate. I'm learning how to be more present, move slower. And so that way I'm experiencing more time. I'm learning how to take more time for myself in the morning to just sit and be, because the more I sit in silence, the more time unfolds for me. Okay? So I'm getting a little carried away with the whole time construct, but that's usually one of our biggest statements, is that I just don't have enough time for it. Change the language to meet yourself where you're at. And once you start to feel like it is truth that you do have plenty of time, then that's your new story. I have plenty of time. There's more than enough hours in the day. And then finally, exploring the deeper layer. Resistance is a teacher. Ask it what it's trying to teach you, what it's trying to show you. Chances are it's going to honestly open you up to exploring yourself on so many deep levels. I would never tell you to this day that I am not creative. That was a story I had for a very long time that kept me stuck. But now, present day, I find myself to be one of the most creative people that there are. I can literally just say, this is what I want to create, whether it's like a new program, meditation, whatever, and boom, it feels like it just flows right through me. So I've allowed myself to meet that story where it was at, change the language, ask what it was trying to teach me, and allowed it to open myself up to whole new experiences within myself. All right? So I hope this all makes sense. Just meet yourself where you're at. Love yourself through this whole process. The resistance doesn't have to be this ugly, scary thing. It can be quite beautiful. Because, and again, it's never really going to go away, because right now you have a specific desire, and eventually that desire is going to unfold for you. And then you're going to have another desire and another desire. Life is constantly throwing us things that we really don't want. which is making a shift into more of what we do want. So we're always wanting more, always wanting to go to the next level, experience more, achieve more, whatever it is. So resistance is always going to be there, but it's always going to be there as a beautiful teacher, a beautiful compass deeper within yourself. All right, dears. So tomorrow we're going to have, oh, you're so, so welcome. It's good to see you. Tomorrow we're at 10:30 and we're going to be doing EFT tapping. So really excited. It's a amazing, amazing technique to really help you to go through the absolute insane discomfort. You know, like, I don't have any of you ever experienced just like crawling out of your skin discomfort. That was like the whole year of 2019 for me. I literally lived in my bathtub because I would just shedding so many layers of these old stories that I just sought comfort in Epsom salt in my bathtub. So the EFT tapping is going to be really great. It's also amazing to help you release phobias, help you release addictions, amazing stuff. So see you tomorrow at 10:30. Really try to make it live for the EFT tapping tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, because the more people that you tap with collectively, like the higher the vibration. It's really an incredible experience to tap together. Awesome. So I will see you guys all tomorrow. Enjoy your day. Also, too, my podcast episode is out today. Wednesdays is podcast day. And on that podcast, it's about resistance. So if you want like a little recap, or each time I explain something, it always comes out a little bit different. So if you want to check that out, I'll put that in the show notes below, as well as the link to contact me for any connection calls, or to go into like a deep dive with a 2-hour single session with a subconscious tune-up. All right, guys, I'll see you later.